if you want to learn how to do a push-up, but you found it so incredibly impossible to actually get there, here is a nice and easy progression for you to learn how to get there. The first thing you're going to do is actually just make sure that you can hold a plank. So if you can hold a plank, then you can do these progressions to make sure that you can get up into a push-up, because it might not be that your chest is too weak, it might be that your core is just too weak to sustain that plank the whole time. So if you need to do that first, head over and watch my plank progression video, and then come back here and we'll get started on this next. So when you're doing a plank progression, there are a few things that you want to do. So usually what I'll do is I'll have people start on varying degrees of height for their push-ups. So you'll start on something that's relatively high, so maybe like right here relative to your torso. So if I were to stand up, I would find something that was about this height, and then you just find things that are lower and lower. So it would be like countertop, and then maybe a couch, and then an ottoman, and then the floor and on your knees, and then floor on your toes. So we're gonna go from floor on your knees to floor on your toes. So when you are doing a push-up, your first push-up, so let's say we've solved the core strength issue, we're ready to move into the chest strength issue. What we're going to do is start here on our knees. So there are so many ways to build strength in any muscle in the body. So when you are trying to build strength, what you want to do is, if you can only perform one direction of the motion, that is still putting tension on that muscle and still requiring your muscle to rebuild itself, which is still gaining you strength. So let's say, do you think it's easier to go up or down in a push-up? Yeah, down is way easier than pushing back up again, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start only going down. So I'm gonna go on my knees, I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to come back up again. Okay, so I'm going to come into my plank, my good plank form. I'm gonna come down, and then I'm going to relax here, push up, because if I push up, only pushing up my shoulders, it's way easier, right, than if I try to push up all of the weight from my knees to my head. So keep this knees to head nice and stiff, come down, and then come back up again. Okay, so you're really focusing on this descending part of the motion, and that's going to be the foundation for you to start gaining that strength. Next, what you're going to do is work on doing both motions. So I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to come back up again, right? And then I want to progress it slowly after that. So let's say I come to full plank, and I've done the progression where I'm picking different heights to start from, and it's still super hard for me to do a plank push-up on the ground. So what I want to do is I want to come down, and then I want to come back up again. Come down, and then come back up again. Come down, and then come back up again. And then once I've accomplished and achieved that, and I'm getting really strong, every once in a while, I'm gonna go for that full push-up, and I'm gonna try really hard to get that full push-up in and see if I can do it. And once I get to that full push-up form, I'm gonna come to good form, right? So good plank form, chin in, push the ground away from me, pull my belly button in, rib cage over pelvis, and then come down and back up again. And there you have it. You have good plank form, and you did it in a way that was sustainable for your body from beginning to end, and you didn't risk injury or pain for performance. Now, a couple things. I want you to make sure that when you're doing a push-up, the muscle that you're trying to use is not your pec minor or your traps. I want you to use pec major. The way that you're going to make sure that you're not doing this is make sure that your traps are soft and squishy when you're trying to do a push-up, when you're pushing the ground away from you. And the main way that you're going to accomplish this is actually pulling your shoulder blade back and down while you are pushing the ground away from you. Push the ground away from you, make sure that that trap is soft and squishy, and there you go. The next thing is targeting your pec major. So if I take my hands and I press them together like this, and I push, 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 and I try to use my chest, so I push my shoulders forward like I'm trying to push the ground away from me, and I push my hands together like this, do this for a second, that's pec major. Now if I take my hands and I put them kind of at head height, and I push together like this, that is pec minor. Pec minor is obviously a super helpful muscle, and I'm really glad I have one, but it tends to get really tight. And when it's overly tight, it can pull your shoulder blades into a rounded forward position, which will cause back pain over the long term. So your pec minor should be able to kick in to help pec major do its job and stabilize your shoulder complex and all of those things, but you really want to make sure that this is the muscle you're trying to work. So I even would suggest that you try a couple of these first, really find that pec major, and then move on into that progression from plank to push-up and onward. I'm Julia, this is Julia Lemons Fitness. Visit www.julialemonsfitness.com to learn more about my 90-day Ready, Set, Transform program. Thanks for watching, like and follow for more.